concept of cost. In this video, we'll try to understand the concept of cost through various things like cost of production, total cost of production, marginal cost of production, average cost of production. Let us understand this concept of cost in a greater detail. Let's say any manufacturer or producer, when engaged in the process of production, he uses many inputs like land, labor, machineries, power, fuel, raw materials. And while using those inputs, he has to make payments for them. So the total expenditure incurred for all those inputs, in simple words, we call them as factors of production. When a producer makes payment for such kind of factors of production, the amount incurred in the process of production of this commodity is known as cost of production. So, what is cost of production? Is the amount incurred by the producer for payments of those inputs used for the production of the commodity is called as cost of production. It's very commonsensical. As the output increases, the production cost increases. Let us see this cost of production with an example. Let's say I am a producer of breads. So in a day, I make 100 packets of breads. In a packet, there are 6 slices. So 6 breads makes 1 packet, and such I am making 100 packets. So in order to make such breads, what do I need? I need to have first place. So land. For producers, they use land, so I pay rent. Then, for making the bread, I need to have raw material. So that dough, that flour, I need to pay for that. Similarly, I have to employ employees to make it, to serve it, to sell it. So that will include labor cost. I'll have electrifications. I'll have transport costs. So all those prices, when add up to, gives me a cost of production. So what do I understand? In order to make those 100 packets of bread, when I add the salaries, house rent, the electricity bills, the labor charges, the transportation charges, and the fuel charges, and the different allowances, raw material charges, I understand that for 100 packets, I require 800 rupees. So, per packet cost goes what? 800 divided by 100, 8 rupees per packet. This also is known as average cost. So, what do you understand by cost of production? Cost of production is the amount incurred by a producer for the payments of different factors of production for the production of commodity is called as cost of production. This cost of production can be further understood with 3 ways. One is total cost of production. Now, total cost of production, as it suggests, is total cost. It comprises of 2 factors, total fixed cost and total variable cost. So what do I understand? Total cost of production is total fixed cost and total variable cost. So let us understand what is total cost of production. So the total amount incurred for production of total output is called as total cost of production. So what is total cost of production? Total cost of production is the total amount incurred by a producer for the production of commodity is called as total cost of production. It has 2 components, as I have said, is total fixed cost and total variable cost. Now what is total fixed cost? Now total fixed cost is the amount incurred on fixed payments, like payment on land is fixed payment, payment on machineries is fixed payment. So whatever happens, whether I produce or not, I need to incur on this. Whether I keep my bakery open or close, I need to pay rent. I need to pay for machineries what I use. So those are my fixed costs. So that will be total fixed cost. So all those fixed costs will lead to total fixed cost. Now there is another component, that is variable cost. So total variable cost is the total amount incurred on all the payments made on variable inputs. Now what are variable inputs? Yes, inputs, their requirement varies, like raw material, like machine, like power, like fuel. Let's say today I made 120 packets, so my raw material will be more. I'll be required 3 laborers. Tomorrow I'll make 80, so my raw material will be less. My number of laborers will be only 2. So what do you understand? This labors, this raw material varies. They are not fixed. That's where we call them as variable cost. So cost incurred for the payments of variable inputs is called as variable cost. So their sum will be total variable cost. So in a nutshell summary, I see a total cost of production. Total cost of production is total fixed cost and total variable cost. Where this is total cost of production, TC. Total fixed cost is TFC and total variable cost is TVC. Going further, I introduce another concept, that is average cost. Average cost means the cost incurred for production of one unit on an average is called as average cost. Mathematically, this can be done in a very simpler way. That total cost divided by total quantity. So average cost is nothing but total cost divided by total quantity. I'll give an example of what I've given you. I make 100 packets of bread and the total cost I incurred is 800 rupees. So what is my average cost? Yes, average cost will be total cost upon total quantity. Total cost is 800, total quantity is 100 packets. So for per packet, the cost is 8 rupees. So what is average cost? Is cost of producing per unit of commodity is called as average cost. Mathematically, it's total cost over total quantity. Another concept which we need to understand is marginal cost. What is marginal cost? It gives me a feeling that what is the additional cost I pay for the extra unit produced. So, in simple term, marginal cost is the additional amount I have to bear or pay in order to produce one extra unit. I'll explain this with a simple example. That my marginal cost is total cost for n unit minus total cost for n minus 1 unit. N represent number of units, T represent total cost. So Tn will be total cost of production for n unit. N minus 1 is total cost of production for n minus 1 unit. And my marginal cost MC will be what? Its marginal cost is Tn minus 1. So I'll explain you with this simple example. What is marginal cost? Let's say to produce 5 packets of bread, I required 100 rupees. To produce 6 packets of bread, I require 120 rupees. So what is marginal cost in this? That extra 1 packet adds my total with 20 rupees. It's 120 minus 100, it's 20 rupees is my marginal cost. I can see this with another way, that change in cost due to change in quantity produced. Let's say marginal cost. So change in cost is 120 minus 100 over change in quantity is 6 minus 5. So it's 20 rupees per product is an additional cost I need to bear in my total cost. That turns out to be marginal cost. So in a nutshell summary, let us understand this concept of cost in one more time in a faster speed. So the total amount incurred by a producer in the payments of factors of production is called as cost of production. Cost of production is also known as total cost of production. It has 2 components. Total cost has total fixed cost and total variable cost. Fixed cost, as the name suggests, is the payment incurred on fixed expenses like rent, like machineries. Total variable cost is, as the name suggests, variable, the cost incurred, the payment incurred on variable inputs like labors, raw material, power supply, fuels, other allowances which varies. So that gives me total cost of production. Average cost is per unit cost of production of a commodity. Simply mathematically, how do you do it? It's total cost over total quantity. Marginal cost, as the name suggests, margin. Margin means extra. So whatever extra is being required for production of one extra unit is called as marginal cost. Mathematically, we can see it in two ways. One is total cost of production of n unit minus total cost of production of n minus 1 unit will give you marginal cost for 1 unit, or it's change in total cost over change in quantity produced will give you marginal cost.